welcome to episode number 2. This is an absolute monumental episode for the 12th Man crew. I want to start off by introducing the guests here. As you can see, it's a star-studded lineup. I've got Matisse, who's a backbone to my football Twitter account. I'm excited to have him in this episode. I've got Singa, who's a brother from another mother, he's a co-founder of our 12th Man group. And I've got the humble one, TJ, and I've got the rock chief master, Rey. So yeah, guys, everyone, give these lovely people a follow. They've got some of the best football Twitter content going around. Now, the topics that we're going to talk about today is first, we're going to talk about all the UCL and all the Europa League action that took place over the week, which was epic. We're going to then go into the Europa League win that we had against Frankfurt and the emotions that it kind of took out of all of us. And then lastly, we're going to finish it off with a bang. We're going to talk about everything 12th Man. So firstly, I want to go to Matisse. Matisse, how you doing, my man?
How's it going, bro? This has been a long time coming.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. This is I've been waiting for this for a very, very long time. It's amazing to have the opportunity to have a chat with you. I want to quickly touch base with you about last week's epic scenario that took place in UCL and also in the Europa League. What's your thoughts, man? Talk me through Liverpool versus Barcelona, Ajax, Tottenham, and obviously our match against Frankfurt.
Yeah, it's crazy because the Champions League always seems to throw up surprises this season. It's been a crazy tournament in terms of shocks. You can never write a team off, which is why I was going into our game even more nervous because anything can happen in Europe. Clearly, there seems to be no control on what's going on. Everything's just very loose and. You can come back from 3-0 down against Barcelona and manage to overturn the tie and everything. So even with your best players out. But what I took from that round of Champions League games is that's two managers in the final of the Champions League that have been given time. They've been given a structure to work with. They've been given, one's been given finances, one hasn't. But they've also been given the backing from their support, from their fan base to actually, build a team. And patience has been given to them to do that, and it just goes to show that all can provide finals in Champions League. This is Liverpool's back-to-back Champions League final now, and they've been heavily supported by their fan base for Klopp, and the board have backed him as well. So that's something Chelsea needs to learn from, is that this continuous sacking of managers and instability and fighting the fan base and all of this stuff. It may bring you the odd league title like it used to, but it's not going to bring you European success. It's not going to bring you the highest honours. And I think that's the main thing to take away from it is, two clubs with long-term projects have made it to the final. And that's the way Europe's going. No more individual players, no more, Messi and Ronaldo dragging teams to Champions League finals. That's all kind of, starting to fade away. Those two can still produce, but, they are starting to dwindle down now. And there's no real players that are on their level to do that. So that's what I took. Individualism starting to leave the game. And it's all about a team sport, really. And then our game was just incredible. I couldn't even analyze our game because there was so much emotion, as you saw from your video of this on Twitter as well. Everybody was just up in arms. The game was just so tense, obviously going to penalties and we won. And I just went absolutely ballistic. And I did get to analyze the Arsenal game for the final. And one thing I did take from their game, just to quickly finish up, is there's areas of weakness, but there's areas of strength as well that makes this a very interesting final for us. Up front, Lacazette and Aubameyang, I watched them very closely, and their link-up play is absolutely incredible. They are literally that is Arsenal's go-to guys. There is nobody else in that team who's going to make them click on that final day in that game. They are the two that are going to turn up. They seem to one drops off and then one goes in behind. And that's the very close link-up play that they have to try and reshuffle your defence. So our defence is going to have to be switched on. And Maitland-Niles at right back, absolutely shocking in that game against Valencia. No positional awareness. So if Hazard starts on the left wing and Maitland-Niles is at right back, we are going to have a field day. So those are the two main areas. That's what I took from this week, basically. It was an interesting week.
Absolutely right, Matisse. Well said. I could not agree more about the, Liverpool and Pochettino scenario for Tottenham. And you're right. In regards to Arsenal, we shouldn't be scared. I think the only thing that should scare us is obviously their strike force, but defensively, we should be able to rattle them. Now, quickly going to Singa. Singa, first of all, man, Bahamas. What's going on, man? What's going on there?
Man, this place is paradise. It's it is one of the best. Atlantis is obviously very well known. Having a great time. I got a couple more nights here, and back to the grind.
Brilliant. What I want to touch base with you is there was a very famous tweet from you in the first leg when Ajax beat Tottenham. You commented that Ajax was going to win the Champions League. Do you want to sort of take us through all of that?
Well, with Ajax, they looked very strong. I kind of had written off Tottenham because simply because Kane wasn't there. They were kind of like falling apart in the league. So I was like, you know what, this is it. The Ajax is going to take over. They started off very well. Got 2 goals in the first half. I was like, the game is dead. But man, like they always say, it's not over until it's really over. And Tottenham came back, man. It was unbelievable. And we had seen that night before with Liverpool, and it was just amazing 48 hours of football. Then obviously Chelsea was like, I'm not going to stay behind. we're going to give some heart attacks as well. So no, it was amazing 3 days of football.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. TJ, how you doing, brother?
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm very, very well, very well. The question I've basically got for you is, a lot of people have been talking. I want to focus a little bit about philosophy now, boys. A lot of people have been saying that, and we've heard our previous manager, Jose Mourinho, once Tottenham lost, he said that, Ajax can now take their philosophy back and just sit at home and watch the final. Now, I feel that particular game, Ajax played superbly besides the last 45 minutes of that tie. What's your thoughts in regards to, that particular tie and the whole concept of philosophy, man?
Well, yeah, Ajax, like their whole Champions League season, their run to the semifinals, they've been playing like some superb football, like arguably better than us, like on par with Barcelona. Like their passing, their movement has been excellent. Now, the second leg against Spurs, again, the first 45 minutes, they're doing the same thing as they always do. And then it was partially Spurs had nothing to lose at that point. Pochettino sent them to go all out at them for the last 45 minutes. And I was talking to a few friends of mine, and to be honest, Ajax, their lack of experience showed in the second half. They had to sit back and defend, even though they were 3-0 up. It totally spun in Spurs' way, and every team, no matter what philosophy you play, there'll always be times you need to there's always times you have to defend, you have to sit back, you have to put people behind the ball. It'll happen, and unfortunately for Ajax, they were like seconds away from winning that game, and it's heartbreaking for them. It was heartbreaking for me, honestly. But
Cool. Just quickly, Singer, do you mind, because I think we're getting some background noise as well, do you mind just having on mute, just so that we can just not hear the background wind, I think, that we're getting as well.
Let's try this. There we go.
Cool. Brilliant. You can still hear us, right? You can put a thumbs up. Brilliant. Okay. So, Ray, welcome to episode number 2. How you doing, brother?
Good, man. How about you?
Good, man. Good. It's 10:12 p.m. It's almost sleep time very soon for me. But Man, I want to ask you that tie. I want to now focus a little bit about our game against Frankfurt. A lot of people sort of kind of wrote us off before the tie that we won't be able to match against Frankfurt. They've got Jovic, they've got Kostic, a lot of fine players. But I personally felt most of the times we were on top of them. There were snippets of times where they looked like they were, put us under pressure. But overall, we looked stronger. What's your opinion, man? How do you see the match?
So first of all, I want to thank TJ, Singa, and Matisse, for being here, and also Miz. But, touching on that topic, I think, looking at the game, looking at that first half, I think we did a pretty good job at creating chances. Sometimes the build-up play was really good, trying to break the press that Frankfurt was trying to put on us. Sometimes we still looked a little bit shaky, but that's usually the case when teams usually press us high and make it physical. But in that second half, I think we stepped off a little bit off the pedal. You saw Frankfurt really push it. They realized that they had to come with everything they had. They were 1-0 down, and they equalized around the 47th minute with Jovic. I think a mistake from David Luiz and the back line that led to Jovic equalizing with that goal.
Correct. So would you say, overall, a lot of people have been saying, we haven't been playing good, we can't match some of these teams. What do you think? Like, did we sort of stood up well against these guys?
I think so. I think we can do a better job, but I think we did a pretty good job against Frankfurt, against all these teams that, people underestimated us. But I think, we're still in our early stages of our offense. Obviously there's some criticism on Sarri, and rightfully so, but there's also some justifications on how his first season is going. But overall, I think, this is not really a bad season. Everyone's trying to tell us that it is, but I think we just have to be a little more patient and see how things go from now, and see what Sarri can do in the future when he is back, if he is back.
Brilliant. Matisse, now let's move into our second sort of topic that I wanted to touch, which is a bit emotional. There was a lot of emotions after we won our match against Frankfurt. Obviously, my video that was out as well. A lot of other people as well. Talk us through your experience of that match, man. What were you doing? Where were you? What happened? We all saw your video as well. It was a bit crazy, but talk us through, man.
Oh man, I was in bits. I mean, I was at home watching the game, and there's only so much. You can only be so like logical with the game until it gets to like extra time, and then when it gets to extra time, all analyzing and all logical tweets and commentary just goes out the window, and suddenly you're just embroiled in this absolute festival of carnage. And the thing is with this whole penalty shootout thing is I never wanted it to happen, because one, I had an exam the next day, so I kind of wanted to go to bed. I was like, Chelsea, can you just wrap this game up and win so I can go to sleep, please? And penalties against German teams is just, it's always been this myth where it's almost impossible to win, and obviously we proved that to be wrong in the Champions League final. But going into the penalty shootout, I did not have any confidence, and then obviously we missed a penalty as well. And after the whole drama with Kepa against Tottenham, I was like, I don't really know if this is going to go down very well. But my God, what a performance from that man! I mean, if there was ever a person who needed that more, it was probably Kepa, because the fan base seems to be, and I don't know why, I don't get it, because I think he's an unbelievable keeper, especially for his age and the fact that this is his first season in the Premier League, which is probably the most physical league in the world, barring the Championship. The stick he's got this season from some people, people have been like, I don't know about him. We should probably, I've seen people say we should even sell him. And I've been shocked to it. And I don't know if this is mainly because of the Tottenham game, people's emotions are running high, and the fact that he disregarded the manager's instructions. But he had an unbelievable night. So I was so happy to see that. And obviously, Eden Hazard, last game at the Bridge, and he gets the winning penalty. It reminded me of Drogba in the final of the Champions League, because it's probably going to be his last game at the Bridge. Likewise, it was Drogba's last game for the club, but then obviously he came back. But Eden Hazard, I mean, you couldn't write any better. If you needed a newspaper headline, which we know the journalists do these days because they seem to just make up any old rubbish, that was a perfect headline for them. So they should be, well fed for the next few days, because if you could have wanted anything from that penalty shootout, it would have been Eden Hazard, fifth penalty take, get the winning opportunity there, and then just place it into the back of the net. The man has no regard for pressure or nerves or anything. He just rolls it into the goal like as if it's, eating your dinner. I love that man, honestly. And we're going to miss him so much, because as much as we don't want to be a one-man team, and I've said in my review of the Champions League, is that one-man teams are going out of fashion and it's all about team game. And I've seen you say this a lot, Miz, as well on Twitter, is that, football's all about a team game and everyone contributes. And this whole one-man show thing just doesn't work anymore, which seems to be my belief. But we are going to miss our one-man show. And it's massive that we, go into the transfer market not trying to replace just him. I've seen us linked with Coutinho and Dybala. This is not going to, we can't be using all of our wages and everything to replace that man. We need to really go balance. So it was a great night. I took a lot from it. Jovic was incredible again. We need to sign him if we have the opportunity. But it was great about the fan base. Everyone was brought together for once. I think that's probably the first time this season where I've seen the whole fan base united, apart from obviously reaching the top four as well. It's very rare in our fan base that everybody's happy. You still find the odd one who's, but we didn't play George McEachran. No, you'll be fine. You'll live. I mean, I'm sure George isn't crying at home saying, why was I playing the Europa League semi-final? But 90% of the fan base are happy. So, when 90% of the fan base are happy, I'm happy. So yeah, it was a great few days. It was great, unbelievable.
Brilliant, man. I mean, you're right. Look, I'm not sure if there's ever been a movie made for our Champions League victory when Drogba put in that penalty, but there better be a Netflix original for Hazard, man. It could not have been set up any better. Singa, talk me through your experience, man. I know you called me straight after the match and I was an absolute mess. Tell me, man, what happened?
Where do I start? You know what? It was one of those games. I wouldn't say I gave up. Like, I knew it was like ending 1-1. Kept up. We see the penalty kick that he said, but we also he also made another save during the game. First half, I think it was, which was brilliant. He's 70 million pounds is a lot of money, and to have that on your shoulders and come out to keep performing like this. I mean, I think he's been underrated. I tweeted a few times that he's a masterclass. Those saves are freaking world class. I mean, out of the world. Top keepers make those saves. But overall, I think Chelsea was always on top. I don't know why we like I said in first episode, we don't have players who can finish. Until we get those, we will have to, keep suffering like this. I feel like it's just some teams we're, able to open up more than the others, and we score freely. But once we come against tough defensive teams, I think the teams that line up 6-7 guys, in front of the post, we got until we buy those strikers and wingers, we can finish. We're gonna be struggling like this next season as well. So is it Sarri's fault? I can't say that, because the guy is helping create chances, and if our players can't put them away, then you can only blame the manager so much. You know what I mean? We have seen Hudson-Odoi. He should have started more. But I don't think he was ready personally. He grew into the games. Even when he started, he had to work on his defensive phase. But no, overall, I think Chelsea deserved to go through. That's what it matters. Yes, it's a one-off game that in Europa League that we kind of got stuck in. But after overall, I think Chelsea does deserve to go to final. If you look at our previous group stage games and other games, I think we haven't lost a game. So if anybody comes out and tell me, oh, we don't deserve to be there, then I don't know which league you're watching, because Chelsea have won every single game. So we deserve to be in the final. I think Arsenal, Chelsea is always a good games. Good, it should be an interesting one. But like I said to you on the phone call, I am scared of their two strikers. Looking at our defense, but it's a one game, 90 minutes. Anything can happen. I always believe it doesn't matter who we're playing. Barcelona, Real Madrid, bring it. So Arsenal is nothing.
Nice, man.
We keep going.
TJ, where were you, man? I don't think I saw enough of you during that day. Were you at class, or where were you up to?
Yeah, believe it or not, I couldn't catch the whole 90 minutes of the game. I actually started watching my stream from the first minute of extra time to the end of the penalty shootout in one of my classes. Yeah, I feel a bit like Tom Holland, like in Spider-Man Homecoming or the Avengers. He's always like doing something with school, and then he ends up just going on the adventure of a lifetime. But yeah, no, I had time, and I watched the second half. But in fairness, I like saw the first half highlights. I was like following a lot of the game on Twitter. No, like I was watching the shootout in class, trying to be as quiet as I could, and just seeing Kepa like making those two saves in a row, and Hazard putting it away. Obviously, it was fantastic. Kepa, ever since we signed him, I was like, we were linked with so many keepers beginning of the season. We were linked with Jordan Pickford. We were linked like Jack Butland, all these kind of guys, and then we ended up with Kepa. Like that makes me feel so good about like the next 7 years that he's signed on for us. His distribution is fantastic. His reactions are fantastic, and he's only 24 years old. He's going to get better and better every year. But yeah, no, I've been backing him all season. You could see every game how he's improved, like the saves he's been making, and like there's some games he's even won for us. So yeah, for me, when I see people still criticizing him because of the one game against Man City, it doesn't make me feel good, because that doesn't sum him up. And then like Matisse has said, if anything, the Frankfurt game completely like redeemed himself. And I did read somewhere on Twitter where one of the reasons Sarri wanted to sub him in the Carabao Cup final was because he felt Willie was like a proven penalty stopper. But if anything, Kepa's proved himself there now too, which is a great thing. And
Absolutely.
And yeah, overall, like once again, it was a fantastic game. It was very nervy at times. Frankfurt, in all credit to them, were actually like a fantastic team, and I love playing against teams like them. Their fans are fantastic. They got the fighting spirit, and they put up a real fight, which you want to see in all kinds of games. And then, of course, once you get to extra time, like Matisse said, there's no really tactics or any of that anymore. It's all pure, like who has more heart, who's got more fight, who's got more spirit. And overall, I think our experience just paid off.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Could not agree anymore. I think we all need to understand as well that first half save, which Singa was talking about, and I think you guys have all touched on as well. That was an absolute banger of a save. Had that gone in, God knows what the reactions and of our team would have been. Ray, I know you and me, we were in the group chat during the match, and we were rooting our team on. Tell me your experience, brother. How'd you feel?
It was a roller coaster, man. It was a roller coaster. I felt like I died like 100 times in that game. It was such a roller coaster of emotions. But I think at the end of the day, we could all unite and say, even though it wasn't pretty, we grinded out the result, and we're in Baku. And I think, showing that passion for Chelsea games, whether we're doing well or not, just shows how well you are as a fan, what defines you. When when things are going rough, how do you react? When things are going well, do you praise enough? Stuff like that. I think that really defines who we are as fans. That game itself was just really an emotional match for us fans, as Chelsea fans, where everything's going on throughout the season. I think it shows that united. Sorry out. But coming back to the case, I think that Frankfurt game was just a really good game, just a roller coaster of emotions.
Absolutely right. I know you guys would have all seen my video, and a lot of people were fine with it, but there have been the odd one or two here and there that were trying to say that, tears for Europa League, really? I mean, this is where we are now. And I just want to share some messages with you guys and hopefully clear, why the emotions came up. One, I was enjoying the match with all of you guys, so there was a built-up emotion there as well. We obviously have a very, very tight group in the 12th man page and all the people involved, and how much we really, really want our club to succeed. I think all of that sort of built up as well. I was watching the match with my little boy, and I guess when Kepa saved the second penalty and it all sort of set up for Hazard, and knowing that this could have been his last kick in Stamford Bridge, and as soon as it went in, the emotions just overflew. It's just, I couldn't hold on, knowing that, wow, what a moment, what a way to get into the final. And it's made so many people happy across the world. A simple save and a simple kick just elated all of us, and basically just got the better of me. So, look, last time I cried was back in Champions League win against Bayern Munich, when Drogba put that in. So it's been a long, long time. So it's not like I do that every week against every team. So go on, Matisse.
Can I add something there, just to your defense? I mean, I've seen some of those comments and quotes and whatnot, and I honestly could not be more embarrassed of those people sometimes. I mean, this season, the amount of things you would have had to have put up with in terms of supporting Sarri, so you would have been called a cultist and all of this rubbish, and you don't know what you're talking about. So, and then there's the whole international fans don't matter and they don't even care about the club. And then you actually show some emotion and show that you really do care. And that was one of probably my favorite videos on Twitter, because it just goes to show, there's no words needed when you support Chelsea. There's not even any analysing needed. You really did, you could see how much you really care. And the amount of people who have said this season in the media and on Twitter and on all social media platforms that, international fans don't care about the club, or they're not real fans, or this, that, and the third. The amount of times we've been disrespected this season. And then the one time you go and show that you really do care, and, that you are just, as important as the match goers, then they want to slag you off for that as well. I mean, sometimes you just can't win with people. And I find it crazy that you don't even have to explain yourself, Miz, because, you just can't win with some people. And that's why, you have to just, this is why it's great that you've got this group, because look at this phone call right here. I mean, how many different countries are we communicating through right now? How many different time zones? And we're all here for the same reason. So, I used to read the comments and those types of comments and that kind of rubbish. But after seeing some reactions to yours, a video that I honestly thought could get no hate. I mean, if there was a video out there that I thought could get no backlash, it would have been your one. I almost retweeted it twice. It was that good. Obviously, you're surrounded by your family and all of those other factors that I've mentioned, and then the fact that it's been such a long season for the fan base, it's actually been tiring to some degree, and it's all just culminated in this fantastic achievement to get to a final. And people that underplay the Europa League, there's only so many trophies you can win in a season. So I'd rather win the Europa League than lose the final of the Champions League. That's how I look at it. There's only so many trophies, and as long as we win one or two of them, it's been a good season. It's been a great season, in my opinion. I think a lot of this fan base have started to develop an ego about trophies, and we're better than this, and we're a big club, and we can afford to slack off and, you know, oh, it doesn't matter if, you know, we sack Sarri because another big manager will just come in. Maybe just humble yourselves, because if you watch Liverpool, who are a bigger club than us, let's just be real, they were 8th in the Premier League, struggling with the likes of, you know, not Brendan Rodgers, sorry, with the likes of Roy Hodgson in charge of their club and, you know, frailing around 8th and 9th for quite a few seasons. So I think we just need to sometimes appreciate these moments, because we never know when our club are going to, you know, just go downhill, especially with our ownership and the lack of stability we have. So fair play to you for showing that emotion. It's not easy to do that on Twitter, even as a man. And that's a whole nother topic about men showing their emotion. So I was proud of that video. And like I said, I would have retweeted it twice.
Thanks, man. Now, you're right. Look, what I probably didn't understand a lot from the backlash was, you know, when did becoming a fan, you know, demanded such arrogance from us? You know, we should be happy with any match that we're playing. We should be happy with any sort of competition that we're in, and making it to the final. We should be happy nonetheless, whether it's you know, UCL or Europa League or League Cup. It should not matter. And that's what probably frustrated me the most, that, you know, there was a certain corner of the fan base that have this feeling that, oh no, because it's Europa League, you know, we shouldn't be celebrating this because it's just beneath us. Anyway, let's move on to the last topic in today, and this is an absolute special one to my heart. You guys all know it. You guys are all part of it. And I want to start off with Singa here with this one, because obviously this is a conversation that started off with myself and you keep dropping out, brother. One more time you drop off, and that's going to be it.
Yeah, I'm trying to get closer to the internet, close to the building.
Okay,
it's very dodgy. It's spotty.
Can you hear us though properly? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically what we were just saying, we're going to move into a final segment, which is talking about everything 12th man, something that's really special to all of us. And I wanted to start talking with you about it first up, because obviously this was a conversation a long time ago, which started off between you and me. Do you want to sort of take us through your timeline of how the 12th man all started, and what it means to you, and you know, what are some of the misconceptions that you've sort of had to face up to over the last few months?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Did you hear any of that?
12th man. It was building up in my mind for quite some time now. Not just this season. I think it was in my mind last season. You know, just the way we are with the how things went wrong with Conte, how our fan base kind of completely turned on him. A lot of tweets, lot of nasty tweets I have, you know, witnessed about Conte. So it was always in my mind. It was just building up. I didn't know what to do with it. It was just there. Then again, I was like, okay, Sarri's coming in. I'm not gonna lie. I was against Sarri coming in, just for the simple fact that I didn't want Conte to leave. It had nothing to do with Sarri, you know, or what kind of coach he is, or it had nothing to do with that. I didn't want Antonio Conte to leave the club. You know, it was just one of those another things where our club kind of did whatever they wanted to do, not backing the manager, successful manager, give him the support. So, but we had Sarri. So once we got him, he was on the touchline, obviously. Then I would back him. You know, doesn't matter in the beginning if I liked him or not. You know, but I will back him. He's our club's manager. He's my manager. So to come on Twitter to talk all the negative things without understanding that he has he has a group of players, and then he has a time frame to work with. So why not give him the time first? And or even he doesn't even have proper players to work with. So people need to understand that. Then all the negativity started, and up and down, up and down. And I think that finally when fans started booing Jorginho, and very next game, sorry ball came out, and I think that was of it. That's when I was like, you know what, this is enough. People need to, get behind the team. Especially, I feel like after January window, you can't really do much. But to support the team, why can't we just do that? It's after January window, you can't buy players anymore, so you have to work with what you have. So then pitching and mourning, excuse my language, but get behind the team. Sport, show your sport. Yes, we can be critical after the game. After 90 minutes is over, let's come on Twitter and let's talk about it and in a proper fashion. But before the game, during the game, I feel like we can, if we are staying positive, I think we can really help our team. And that's where the 12th man came from. It's like, why be so negative before the game when we should be helping our team? That's the whole reasoning behind it.
Brilliant, brilliant. No, you're absolutely right, and my sentiments are the same as well. TJ, how did it sort of all get on you about the whole 12th man thing? How did you come across it? Tell me your experience, brother.
Well, me and Ray were actually in conversation about this yesterday, about the beginning of us on Twitter. I mean, when I first started being on Twitter with talking about Chelsea and stuff, I was like, I didn't know anybody, didn't talk to anybody, didn't have followers. I wasn't really worried about that, but I knew it could probably come one day. But I just tried to be patient. I wanted to see where things would take me, and like I said, my patience paid off. Eventually, I met Matisse on Twitter. He was a huge help in getting me to where I am right now. Obviously, around the same time, I met you, Miz, and you and me clicked a lot really quickly, and we talked about these kind of things. We think similarly, and I remember you talking to me about like you had big plans and you wanted about uniting the fan base, and that's exactly what I want. I mean, I got Twitter this year, and before this year, I never fully realized how divisive a fan base can get. So when I got Twitter and I see all this, you see all this backlash on players and Sarri especially, it's kind of crazy how much divide there is in our fan base. So I'm like you, I'm a really optimistic guy. I like positivity, and I want to see that in everybody. So I really love the 12th man as a whole. You just want positivity throughout the whole 90 minutes, like Singa said. And you want to connect with people, and whatever happens, and after the game you can talk about it. So that's what I really like. And then obviously from your little idea, you've now gotten about almost 50 people from around the world, in so many countries, part of your little ideology. But it's really working out. I'm loving it. It's gotten me to where I am, and I love the fact that I'm able to communicate to so many Chelsea fans worldwide because of this. It's something I've always dreamt about, especially as a Canadian, because in Canada, soccer is not a huge thing right now. It is getting there, but it's not like it is in Europe. You can't talk about it as much. So yeah, I'm personally really thankful about this whole opportunity.
Brilliant, man. You're right. I mean, group chat has grown to 50 members at the moment, and a lot of positive energy there now. Ray, tell me your experience, man. I still remember the day when you direct messaged me saying, "Hey, man, can I be part of this 12th man crew?" And I'm like, "This is so cute, man. This is so cute." I'm like, "Look, there is no crew here. Sure, you can join, man." Tell me, man, how's that all gone for you?
I think
Can't hear you, Ray. I think you might have got us on mute.
You guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Singer, could you mute, please, Singer? All right,
How do you
go,
hear me
Ray.
now? Everyone's good?
Yep.
Yeah, perfect. Right.
So yeah, I was saying, I think, meeting Miz, I think I met Miz through a thread. Someone retweeted what a Miz, I think it was a post-match review of a match. I forgot what match. And I'm looking at the thread, and I think he also did a video for his reaction after the post-match. And I think I'm like, oh wow, this are some good points. Let me check it out. And after I checked it out, I think I instantly fell in love with your content. And after that, I was just instantly, waiting for your next post-match review, waiting for your input on matches. And after that, I'm like, this guy knows what he's talking about. He's rational. He knows when to be critical. He's not hating on sorry in or sorry out. He's putting his own opinions out there respectively, and rightfully so. When you think of Twitter and Chelsea fans, you think of negativity all over the internet. And there's not so many humble fans out there that think rational from a perspective point of view, and they just put their emotions into their opinions. And sometimes you can't do that because you don't think rationally. And knowing you, Miz, I think you're a great example of this. Being this voice leader in our community really does help other Chelsea fans realize that, it's not all, doom and gloom for Chelsea right now. There's still some positivity in our community. We always have a laugh in the group chats. We're silly, we make jokes, but we also share our opinions on Chelsea games and everything about Chelsea. And I think it's been a great, I think a month or so, maybe a couple of weeks since I met you, but since it feels like a year. That's how much I've gotten close to you guys. Meeting Matisse over Twitter, meeting TJ via the group chat, meeting Miz, meeting all these wonderful people like Singa. Everyone in the group chat just has been amazing to interact with, whether being, joking around, having a good conversation, sharing or debating, stuff like that. It's been a huge ride of a couple of weeks, and it's been a great honor meeting you guys.
Thanks, man. Thank you for heaps. Thank you heaps for these kind words, man. Truly. I think I want to now touch with Matisse. I know he's very, very deep about the 12th man, and I simply love that and I adore that. So I want to get his thoughts, and then I want to provide my thoughts about the whole 12th man and how it all sort of transpired in my mind. So Matisse, go on, man. This is it. This is your time. Tell us everything.
I know I'm not directly involved, obviously, but I love rushing to you guys' defense. I mean, it's one of my favorite things to do on Twitter, honestly, because, I've seen that you guys have run into a few problems, and that was always going to happen with any supporters group. People underestimate how difficult it is to manage the amount of accounts that you have to, not even manage, but just oversee, because obviously they're representing your tag. People say 50. I know you guys say 50, but you have way more than 50. I mean, I don't know how many you have in the group chat, but you have way more than 50. I can tell you that, because every time I type 12th man into the Twitter search, more names just come up that I've never even heard of. And I think it's fantastic. We had that whole group chat issue. I think that was absolutely hilarious when we look back on it. We had we had the old 12th man group chat where we had these imposters who broke in and completely just destroyed the place. But we did learn a few things from that. Obviously there was a few hiccups and whatnot, and people not really representing the tag properly. And I think it's important that if people are going to put the tag in their name, is that they do go to your Twitter and they do read your pinned tweet. That was fantastic that you guys made that and took the time to make that, because now no one can really question your intentions or what this whole 12th man tag means. And that was always my issue with people on Twitter, is they wanted to jump to conclusions, and they wanted to complain, and they wanted to use one person who has maybe represented the tag poorly or has done something wrong to put you all into the same box. And we don't do that in any corner of society. We don't do that with Chelsea fans. When one Chelsea fan is accused, has maybe been racist at a game or done something wrong, we don't, as a fan base, we don't then all say, oh well, then Miz, you're racist as well, and I'm a racist, and everyone's a racist. You know, we don't do that. So it's important that we take the same, you know, the same rules that we place everywhere and place them with others as well on Twitter. I didn't like this whole, you know, everyone in the same box, and you had an issue where you had to, you know, ask someone else to leave the 12th man, and you know, I don't want one person's actions to, you know, demine all of you. And that was one of the reasons why obviously I wasn't, you know, involved in it anymore, is because I kind of knew that kind of scenario was going to come up, and I knew I wouldn't have time to keep battling people on Twitter, the different tags that you see on Twitter that people complain and saying, oh, you need to address this, you need to address that, you need to address this. But I knew I wouldn't have time to do all of that. But you know, credit to you guys that you managed to keep it going. You had a lot of you know, you've had some backlash and whatnot, and it hasn't stopped you from prevailing and continuing the movement. And that's what I want to see. You know, it's fantastic. You know, the ideology is great, and it's one of those things that won't be respected and won't be appreciated until it's too big, and then suddenly it just, you know, people will just start jumping on and stuff like that. But it's great to be here while it's still small and you still, you know, see it at its core.
No, you're absolutely right, man. I mean, every now and then you see, you know, people come at us, and it's all for the most weirdest reasons as well. I feel like sometimes it's a bit of a worry sort of, you know, situation where they feel, oh no, here's something that's about to take off, and you know, we need to show them that this isn't the right way. Now, I want to share with you guys exactly how it all sort of transpired. I want to take you guys on a bit of a journey now. So basically, you know, you guys all know, during this season, there was a lot of commotion every time, you know, the starting lineup would come up. People would be upset about, oh, this player's not playing or that player's not playing, and before the match would even start, everyone's mood is off, and so on and so forth. And you know, this continued for a very, very long time, and then until I sort of realized, well, you know, us as fan base, you know, what are we doing? You know, all we ever seem to do in this platform is just complain, and you know, we're taking the mick out of this platform, and a lot of people think, oh, you know, football Twitter, you know, it's just a place of jokers. You know, you just come here to joke. But I sort of thought, well, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. We can actually do a lot of good here. We can actually reach out to a lot of people here. So off the back of that, you know, I had a quick little conversation with Singa, and I said, hey, me and you sort of in the same sort of you know, mind frame here, in the sense that we should be focusing on positivity, and we should be focused on what can we do to help our team. You know, we can sit here and complain, but what's a positive thing that we can do? So we thought, you know what, we don't see enough tweets in football Twitter which backs the team, backs the players. You know, we're so quick to smash Alonso or Willian or whoever the hell, you know, is playing poorly, but barely see anything positive. So that's how it all started. We sort of thought, okay, well, for the 90 minutes, we're just going to keep backing our team, you know, regardless of how they perform and whatnot. We're just only going to cheer them on, and then hopefully a lot of people will see that and will turn some of these negativity in this platform and use it as a positive note. And then off the back of that, obviously we started putting the tag, and the whole sentimental value of the tag is believing that we would get top 4 and believing that we would win the Europa League. Now, you know, we're 50% there, boys, you know, with the tag. So people that are carrying the tag and, you know, who's been believing this, we're 50% there. And kudos to all of those people. And then obviously off the back of that, we created a group chat where we could put all these people in there and talk about all this stuff. And yes, you're right, Matisse. It was a very, very funny moment when we had those imposters, and that GIF still gives me nightmare, man. I think I might have seen that nightmare a few days ago, man. All these people raiding in. But hey, you know what? That triggered me. That triggered me to do even better. You know, I basically took a bit of time away from football Twitter, cleaned up a lot of my accounts, and I do remember, Matisse, you telling me that you're going to piss a lot of people off by doing that. I thought, but you know what? I had to do that because I didn't know who I was following. And this movement made me realize that if I was going to do this, I need to know who I'm following. It was very important for me. So, and then obviously once I started doing that, I started rebuilding it back as well. I've many times I came out in Twitter and said, hey, if I was following you and I've unfollowed you, please, DM me or write me back. I'm more than willing to, happy to follow you back because, I've got nothing against you guys. So, but when I did that and when people did reply, I made sure that, I went to their profile and just understood exactly what type of account, what type of account it was. Do you know what I mean? Because the people that have broke into our group chat, I went to their accounts, man, those accounts were full on. There was a lot of activities in that account that I would not call it one bit. Forget about positive, it's downright abuse. And I thought, well, I can't be following these type of people. And obviously, we created a page. The page has now grown to almost 550 followers, guys. I mean, it's mind-blowing. Only about a month and a bit, maybe, and we've got 550 followers. The content that comes out of that page as well, like TJ, you've put in effort into that. Ray, you've put in effort. We've retweeted some of Matisse's stuff as well. We've constantly liked Matisse's stuff as well. Singa's put in a lot of effort too, and Chris as well, who's not in it, and many other people that have put so much effort into that page. And I've constantly said that the page is for the fans, and the fans are the ones that are writing the content. So and then obviously since then there's been one or two people here and there constantly trying to tell us that we're not doing the right thing and whatnot, and we've done our level best to address that as well. And I've reassured a lot of people that look, the tag is just there till the end of the season until we finish up with the match against Arsenal for Europa League, and after that you can drop the tag and go nuts after that. A lot of people have been holding on and they've been trying to behave throughout this period with the tag, and good on them. But yeah, look, to all the people that somewhat feels intimidated when they see the tag, please don't feel intimidated. It's purely for the sentimental value of that, us reaching top four and us winning the Europa League. It's not some sort of a cult, or it's not some sort of a group that only, we're a group of angels. We criticize. All of us criticize, but we just try not to criticize within the 90 minutes. So yeah, boys, before I go, I want to hear some final thoughts from each and every one of you guys, and I'll go with Matisse, then I'll go with TJ, then I'll go with Ray, and finally I'll finish off with my main man, Singa. Singa, you still there?
No, he left.
Yeah, I can't see his icon.
He left. Let me see if I can get him back one last time. Poor guy. He had it tough in the last episode, and he's got it tough in this episode as well.
Poor guy living up in the Bahamas.
Yeah. Look, it doesn't look like I can actually add him. For some reason, I can't even put my camera on again. I don't know why, but anyway, nonetheless, I'll start with Matisse. Matisse, we'll do another episode where we talk about the ratings of the players and whatnot, and we'll evaluate our team. But I want you to give me a final thought in regards to, what's our prospect in the Europa League, final match, and how do you sort of sum up? We won't rate the players, but how do you sort of look at our season so far?
I'll quickly touch on the Arsenal game. It's for me, it's Arsenal going into it favourites. I've seen a lot of the media and a lot of the pundits say that we're favourites. I don't know what they're watching. I mean, obviously they've just looked at the Premier League standing and they've just gone, yep, Chelsea are favourites because they're ahead of Arsenal. Bob's your uncle. There you go. I mean, do some homework. If you want to compare the two teams, our team is weaker. Only slightly, but it is weaker, mainly because of their two world-class forwards. And I mean world-class, I put up some stats a few weeks ago that Aubameyang has scored more goals than all three of our strikers this season combined. That's Higuain, Morata, and Giroud. So, and it's not even close. Just to let you know, it's, if you thought it was by the odd goal, or maybe even 2 or 3, no, it's quite. He's outscored them by quite a bit. And I don't know what that stat looks like now because he's obviously gone and banged in a hat trick against Valencia. So, point being, in terms of attack versus attack, which it will be that kind of game. And as I said before, is Arsenal going to come out flying because this is do or die for Arsenal. It's not do or die for us because we've made Champions League football by finishing in the top 4, thank God. But this is do or die for Arsenal. So they're going to come out the blocks flying. They won't sit back. They're going to come and attack us immediately. And we have a very aging, lethargic defense who have conceded, goals from set pieces. We have one of the worst set piece records attacking and defending this season. We've conceded the joint most with Cardiff. I love throwing that stat out there because it still baffles me as to how we've conceded that many goals. And we haven't scored, we've only scored more than Newcastle and Fulham prior to the Watford game. So, worrying times set piece wise. And, we saw the first goal against Frankfurt. David Luiz still having a few concentration issues. I did compare him to Nemo, but I try not to do that. This is why I don't have the 12th man tag, because I do sometimes just lose it. I had to compare him to Nemo the other day because his concentration is just all over the place. So he needs to cut that out before the final because Aubameyang will ruin him. And then, like I said, Arsenal do have their weaknesses there, though their defense is nothing to be praising about. Mustafi's an absolute nightmare for them. I tweeted under Arsenal Fan TV's post, saying keep Mustafi, because I think Mustafi has to stay, to be honest. He's an absolutely brilliant defender. Then Maitland-Niles at right back, I said as well. Positionally, he's not great. I don't think Bellerin's going to be back in time. So that means Hazard versus Maitland-Niles. And I think we all know how that should go down. So that's good news for us. But to touch on the season, I thought Sarri's comments, and listen, I've always been Sarrian with criticism. I've always said that on Twitter. I don't think anyone should be Sarrian and not criticize him because he 100% has his flaws. I don't think anyone should be Sarri out and not give him his praise because he it's like anything with life. It deserves balance. And, if you're too far gone on the other side or too far gone on one side, for me, you're becoming more of a fan of the manager than the club, or you're becoming more of a hater of the manager than, supporting the club. This season has just shown what the last 2 defensive systems have done to our team. It's, we have very defense-minded players set up for a low block, counter-attacking football. You see Azpilicueta, he can't really do anything in the final third of the pitch, but he's been terrific over the years defending, even at left back. So we have a team that is basically used to playing 20 yards back where they usually are playing right now. And that means, they're in positions they're not comfortable in. They're used to receiving the ball deep and then counter-attacking. But now they're taking it higher up the pitch and they're having to, use their, more intelligence and try and cut a team open and whatnot. And they're just not used to doing it. So it's been a combination of having the wrong playing squad for the style that we're trying to implement. Players having too many touches in the attacking third instead of doing quick passing. I'm sure anyone who's played football as a kid, in the youth ranks growing up, you was always taught, keep your head up, pass the ball quickly, move without the ball as well. And, our team don't seem to do that. When the wingers get the ball, they like to dribble inside. And that, that stops the defense from being able to be reshuffled, because what you do is you stop the movement of other players. Players won't make off the ball runs and make runs in behind because they know you're not going to pass it quick enough because you're on a dribble. So we have so many issues in the team, and that's why I've sympathized with Sarri so much, is because he's had to deal with all of this media agenda. I put up a tweet where I said all of the things we've had to face this season, and we're still in the Europa League final. Everything from our best player wanting to leave, to the media agenda, to the stadium problem, to the owner not being in the country and not financially really backing the club as much as he used to. The fans, everything. It's just, if you could pick a club with any more drama, I would love to see it, because I don't think it truly exists, So that's why I've sympathized with him so much. And if he is backed and, we need a director of football and so many other things that we need to address, then I will be I'll be much more harsher on him next season, because that means he would have been given all the tools he needs to build the house. And that's what it's all about. If you don't have the equipment to do something, then it's not going to get done. We can't expect miracles. And to be honest, in the Europa League final, in the League Cup final, third in the table, in my opinion, that is a miracle because we have one of the worst squads in the top 6. Simple. So we really have to, I think anybody looking at this season just needs to be really damn happy. You need to be really happy and really grateful because I've honestly, at the start of the season, when I seen the playing squad and what we were going into in our rivals with even United in 6th place, they have 2 or 3 strikers better than ours. You know, it's really shocking just how disadvantaged we have been up front and at the fullbacks, as Miz has touched on Twitter as well. The lack of width in the team. We really just have to be happy because this is one hell of a season for what we've got.
No, you're absolutely right, man. I mean, I've said it many times, and I've sort of said it a lot in recent times as well, that expectations, you know, what were we expecting as fans at the start of this season, knowing that we're going to play such a different styles, such a different sort of philosophy to what we've been doing all our lives. You know, to everyone out there that think, oh, you know, we should have been competing for the league, and you know, Conte did it in his first season. You know, that annoys me. And as soon as I hear that like, I mean, we are trying to learn something totally different. And for what we've done this season with what we had, we should be really proud of where we are. So yeah, TJ, man, what's your thoughts, man? You know, our prospect against Arsenal in the final, and your sort of you know, thoughts on how this season went.
Yeah, Europa League final against Arsenal, like Matisse said, I do see Arsenal as favorites over us. It's facts, honestly. The pundits can tell us otherwise, but no. But we're Chelsea, and my deepest thought about us is always like we can beat anyone at any time if we believe. And I mean, we have on our day we have the passion and desire to beat any team in the world. We've done it against the biggest teams, so we're easily capable of doing it against Arsenal. I hope the players can turn up. It's going to be Arsenal are going to be really pushing us, but I have a feeling. Whoever's playing center back that day, I have a feeling they might be able to turn up against Lacazette and Aubameyang. I hope I'm right. But yeah, and then reflecting on the season as a whole, it was up and down. But it was over end of the day, I have to say it was enjoyable. It's been tiring at times, it's been frustrating at times, but it's been very enjoyable at times. I'd say the ups definitely they definitely trump the downs. We've had some really bad times this season. I don't want to reflect on those, but I mean, going unbeaten all the way till the end of November was definitely like fantastic. At the same time, it did paper over the cracks of some things that were to come, which wasn't great. But I mean, it was obviously a good thing. We had some fantastic games like against Man City at the Bridge. Again, showing that we can beat anybody on any given day. And yeah, overall, I think more ups and downs. We have a chance at a trophy. We got top 4 back in the Champions League next season. Let's see what the summer brings us, honestly.
No, you're right, man. I mean, I think one thing that you really touched on here is that, you know, we've beaten Man City. I've seen a lot of people tweet and even talk about that. Oh, we're so poor against the top 6. Yeah, sure, we might have been poor, but if you think about it, we've actually beaten most of them at least once this season. We beat Man City. We beat Liverpool in the League Cup. We've beaten Tottenham in the League Cup. Yeah, I think we drew against Man United. That's probably the only team that we haven't beaten. But it's not that we can't compete against these guys. And we've beaten Arsenal as well early in the season, 3-2. So all these misconceptions that, oh, we're so poor against top 6, we only seem to remember the ones that we've lost, but we don't seem to remember the ones that we've won. So yeah, moving on to Ray now. What's your thoughts, man? Final and our season in perspective.
I think that, you know, touching on the Arsenal game, I think I completely agree with Matisse and TJ. that Arsenal are the favorites, and based on what they bring in that front line, no matter how bad of a run Arsenal's doing, they always are a threat on the offensive phase of the game. And when you look at our back line, so inconsistent throughout the season, David Luiz or even Cesar Azpilicueta not doing at his best, especially that left back position being a very huge, a doubt for us throughout the season. I think we just have to be on our A game in order to beat Arsenal in that game. I think missing Callum Hudson-Odoi, I think really it's a huge blow for us, because I think he put in a huge number on Arsenal on that left hand or right hand side of Arsenal's defense, where they are very shaky. I think that back line of Arsenal is just, I don't know if it's that much worse than ours, because you look at our back line and you would think it would be a really good pairing, but I think Rudiger and David Luiz has been inconsistent throughout the whole season, but they have been showing good performances as of late. But overall, I think we can beat Arsenal if we show up that day. It's just a matter, can we take our chances? Matisse was saying, we don't have the right players for Sarri's system. And I completely agree. You look at the squad and you have a lot of individual players. Even Sarri has came out and said that in a press conference, saying that this team has a lot of individual players. You want fast build-up play. You want this beautiful football. Sorry, boy, as people be calling it. And what is it? It's just fast-paced football. 1-2 quick touching and making runs behind the lines. Getting through the defense and just breaking teams apart. But you look at our offense, it's just back and forth, sideways sometimes, boring. But credit to teams though, with those low blocks of defense, it's hard to penetrate. But sometimes that's just on us. We're not making those runs. You look at Kovacic or Barkley, a little bit too pragmatic at times, not making those runs, making the safe passes instead of making the forward pass. Even though it's a risk, you have to take them in order to break the defense. But yeah, just going back on the Arsenal, I think we do have a chance. Are we favorites? Not really, but on our day, we can beat any team, like TJ was saying. Hopefully we have a good chance of beating Arsenal. Hopefully we show up, and that's pretty much it. Throughout the season, I think we can improve. Hopefully with the loan players coming back from loan, hoping they can impress. If the ban is lifted, signing the right players. Do not panic buy Chelsea, please. Invest in key areas that we lack, and pretty much just giving Sarri one more season and see how he does.
Absolutely, man. No, well said. Well, boys, won't take up too much of your time. I think we had a fantastic session. A lot of good conversation been held over here. Obviously, we've got the Leicester match coming up very soon, but this will be the first match of the season that I actually don't watch. It is almost 11:30 here, so I'm gonna head to bed. Do keep me posted, boys.
I will.
I'm pretty sure we're probably not gonna play our full team. What do you? Yeah,
so the lineup's actually just out. If you want to hear it.
Go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's Caballero in goal. Zappacosta at right back. Azpilicueta partners David Luiz at centre back with Marcus Alonso at left back. Barkley, Jorginho, and Loftus-Cheek is in the midfield with Pedro, Willian, and Higuain up front. If anybody's heard of the youngster Guehi, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but he's on the bench, so that's interesting.
Ooh.
Sadly, no Gilmore or Reedon, unfortunately. So it's a lot of senior players on the bench. So it's not really a very youthful team, but certainly no Gary Cahill. So that's the biggest thing I take from that.
Yeah, you know what? I'm a bit down about that. I think could have been a Gary Cahill kind of match. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know what we're expecting from this match, to be honest.
I mean, I would love to obviously finish third in the table ahead of Tottenham. I hate Tottenham. I don't know if I ever said that. But at the same time, I don't want any injuries. We've seen Kante go off injured. I actually put in my prediction, well, not my prediction, but for my team for the Watford game, that I actually wanted him dropped to the bench just because I thought he'd played too many games, and then he ended up getting an injury. So we have to obviously be aware of the fitness of the players and whatnot, because we do have that game in the US, unfortunately, in 4 days' time. I mean, I think that could have been moved a bit further in between the two games a bit more evenly, because I think it's a bit of a weird one to have it so close to the Leicester game. But it's going to be great for the US fans, obviously, to see the team as well. So that's nice.
You know
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
One thing quickly. Sorry, Miz.
Yeah, go on.
One thing I'm just taking from the lineup. I think having Aspie partnering Louise at center back could be potentially a good thing. I mean, I don't know. I'm not. Anybody wary of Christensen's fitness right now?
Well, the thing is with Christensen is what I've noticed with him is he seems to, physically he seems to be not great in the Premier League. He seems to get injured or limp off very easily. It's something he definitely needs to work on. It's been an issue for him ever since I've really seen him in the Premier League. He seems to be a little bit lightweight in that department. And going into next season, if we're going to have Reece James at right back, and that's the one kid everyone's lauding about, and rightly so, because he is amazing. I think that's the only one that's actually ready, to be honest. Aspilicueta is going to need new positions, so if he can play centre back, that would be interesting. But
yeah, exactly. And even this could even be like a potential test for the Europa League final. I mean, Rudiger's out for the summer. Christensen, I don't know what his fitness situation is, but I mean, if this could potentially like be a game changer for us in the final if we use it.
I think
I
agree with that as well. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not sure if Christiansen's going to be actually ready for the final. And even if he is, you boys are right. I mean, he lacks that physicality. And to be honest, as much as we've all rooted for Christiansen this season, he hasn't really, lived up to that expectations that we've all believed that he should have. So, and I know, it's a tough match to try something different, but why not? Yeah, go on, Ray. You wanted to say something.
Yeah, just one quick thing to add to you about the Christensen thing. I think when you look at the season, it hasn't been the brightest of seasons for Christensen. You look at last season, he was having a tremendous season under Conte, but ever since that Barca game, everything went downhill for Christensen. And I think ever since then, you look at Andreas, maybe from his point of view, he's looking at it like, I have to impress. I have to really show out to impress Sarri that I really do belong in that starting 11 week in and week out. So maybe he's really being, is not truly self. Like, you look at Christensen last season, he was very composed, always on the defense, being sharp, not losing battles even. He was being really good with physical strikers in the beginning of that season. But I think ever since that Barca mistake and ever since those little ifs and afs games that he had later that season where he wasn't at his best, I think that took a toll on him, especially knowing that he was not going to be the starting center back this season. That's pretty much, I think, what ties Christensen this season. Not being in his best, I think he has a lot more in him. Maybe, this is his limit, but, I think he's still young. He can still improve a lot.
You're absolutely right. Well, boys, fantastic episode. Really happy to speak to all you guys. I'll do my level best to get this up. I'm not sure if I can actually post this straight away because I do want to head to bed, but sometime tomorrow we should have this live and, hopefully a lot of people listening to it and get to hear our insight. So every one of you guys have a fantastic day. Enjoy the match. And let's await the final. Yeah.
Perfect.
Sounds good, man.
Been great
Peace
talking
out.
to you guys.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.